Could science really be on the verge of creating a universal vaccine against cancer? For decades, this idea seemed almost like science fiction. Too ambitious, too complicated, maybe even impossible. But now, researchers at the University of Florida believe they may have taken the first real steps toward making it a reality. They've developed an experimental mRNA cancer vaccine that doesn't just attack tumors. It actually teaches the body's immune system to see them, recognize them, and destroy them. Something that has always been one of the greatest challenges in cancer therapy. If this works in humans the way it has in early trials, it could transform the way we fight one of humanity's most feared diseases. To understand why this is such a breakthrough, we need to step back and look at the problem of cancer itself. Unlike viruses or bacteria, cancer cells aren't foreign invaders. They come from our own bodies, our own tissues, but with something very wrong inside them. Genetic mutations make these cells multiply uncontrollably, ignore the body's usual safety checks, and form tumors that threaten organs and life. But because they come from us, the immune system often fails to recognize them as dangerous. It's like a traitor hiding inside the army, wearing the same uniform as everyone else, and no one notices until it's too late. That's why traditional cancer treatments, surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation have focused on physically cutting tumors out, poisoning them, or burning them away. These treatments save lives, but they come with painful trade-offs. Chemotherapy kills fast-growing cells, which includes not just tumors, but also healthy cells in hair follicles, bone marrow, and the digestive tract. That's why patients often lose hair, suffer extreme fatigue, and face immune weakness. Radiation damages DNA in targeted areas, but it can also scar surrounding tissues. And even when successful, these treatments don't always prevent cancer from coming back. The Holy Grail has always been to find a way to make the immune system itself do the work, to train our natural defenses to find and eliminate cancer cells wherever they hide. This is where mRNA technology enters the picture. Messenger RNA, or mRNA, is a set of instructions. It's like a recipe card telling cells which proteins to make. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the world witnessed how powerful this technology can be when scientists created mRNA vaccines that instructed our bodies to make harmless versions of a viral protein, triggering an immune response without the need for the virus itself. That success didn't just help fight a pandemic. It opened the door to a new era in medicine. If mRNA could teach the immune system to recognize a virus, could it also teach it to recognize cancer? At the University of Florida, scientists set out to answer that question. Their idea was both elegant and bold. They designed an mRNA vaccine that delivers instructions to cancer cells, forcing them to produce a specific protein called PD-L1. Normally, PD-L1 helps tumors hide. It's like an invisibility cloak. Cancer cells use it to trick immune cells into leaving them alone. But in this vaccine strategy, forcing tumors to make PD-L1 in a specific recognizable way actually turns the cloak inside out. Suddenly, the immune system sees the cancer cells clearly, identifies them as dangerous, and attacks them. It's a reversal of cancer's own weapon. In preclinical studies using mice, the results were astonishing. Tumors that were normally resistant to treatment started shrinking. The vaccine triggered T cells, the body's elite soldiers, to infiltrate the tumor microenvironment and launch a coordinated attack. Not only did the vaccine eliminate existing tumors, but in many cases, it also prevented them from growing back. That's something even the best conventional therapies struggle to do. For patients, relapse is one of the greatest fears. A tumor can disappear after surgery or chemotherapy, only to return stronger months or years later. A vaccine that creates long-term immune memory could change that. What makes this discovery even more exciting is how broad its potential may be. The researchers believe this vaccine could be applied to many different types of cancer, not just one. In theory, nearly every tumor could be made visible to the immune system with this approach. That's why headlines have called it a possible universal cancer vaccine. While it's still early, the promise is huge. But of course, science is never that simple. What works in mice does not always translate to humans. The human immune system is more complex, and cancers in people are more genetically diverse. That's why the next crucial step is carefully designed human clinical trials. These trials will start by testing safety. Can the vaccine be given without causing dangerous side effects? Will the immune response be controlled and predictable? Only after passing those hurdles can researchers test effectiveness in larger groups of patients. Still, the idea of an mRNA cancer vaccine builds on momentum that is already real. Immunotherapy has been one of the most exciting advances in oncology over the past decade. Drugs called checkpoint inhibitors, for example, block proteins like PD-1 and PD-L1, freeing the immune system to attack tumors. These therapies have saved lives, but they don't work for everyone, and they can cause immune-related side effects. The mRNA vaccine approach could be more direct, more versatile, and easier to adapt. Because mRNA can be designed quickly, vaccines could potentially be customized for individual patients based on the genetic fingerprint of their tumors. That level of personalization was once a dream, but today it's a realistic possibility. The social impact of such a vaccine would be enormous. Every year, millions of people worldwide hear the words, "You have cancer." For many, it means months of exhausting treatments, uncertainty, and fear. Families are disrupted, financial burdens skyrocket, and the emotional toll is immense. Imagine instead if treatment were as simple as receiving a series of vaccine injections. Imagine if side effects were minimal, if patients could continue their lives without the devastating weight of chemotherapy. That future is not here yet, but it's no longer unimaginable. Of course, there are challenges. Cancer is not one disease, but hundreds of diseases. Some tumors are more immunogenic than others, meaning they're more likely to provoke an immune response. Others are cold tumors, with very few immune cells inside, making them harder to attack. The mRNA vaccine may need to be combined with other therapies, such as existing immunotherapies or targeted drugs, to be fully effective. There's also the question of cost. Developing, manufacturing, and distributing personalized mRNA cancer vaccines will require investment and infrastructure. But the experience of the COVID-19 pandemic showed that the world can build such systems quickly when the need is great. Skeptics will rightly point out that many cancer breakthroughs have made headlines, only to fade away after disappointing results in human trials. And it's true, not every exciting preclinical finding makes it to the clinic. But this research is part of a larger trend, a wave of innovation that is already reshaping oncology. Even if this particular vaccine does not fulfill its boldest promise, it paves the way for others, teaching scientists more about how to harness mRNA and the immune system together. It's worth remembering that just 20 years ago, the idea of sequencing a person's entire genome for medical purposes seemed futuristic and unrealistic. Today, it's routine in cancer centers. 10 years ago, mRNA vaccines were dismissed as unstable and impractical. Today, they've been delivered safely to billions of people. Progress in science often feels slow, until suddenly it changes everything. So what should we take from this? First, hope, but cautious hope. This vaccine could be a major step toward a world where cancer is not a death sentence. But it's not a cure yet, and it may take many years before we know how effective it is in humans. Second, inspiration. The ingenuity of turning cancer's own tricks against it, of using PD-L1 exposure as a beacon instead of a shield, shows how creative modern science has become. And third, perspective. Every advance builds on decades of research, countless experiments, and the persistence of scientists who refuse to give up on one of the hardest challenges in medicine. Imagine a future 20 years from now. A patient goes to the doctor, receives a diagnosis of early-stage cancer, and instead of facing surgery, chemotherapy, or radiation, they are offered a series of personalized vaccine shots. Their immune system learns to recognize the tumor and eliminates it, not just once, but permanently. The cancer never comes back. This isn't just wishful thinking. It's a direction science is actively moving toward. As we stand at the beginning of this journey, the University of Florida's work is a reminder that breakthroughs don't always come from massive pharmaceutical giants. Sometimes they come from academic labs driven by curiosity, persistence, and the desire to save lives. It also reminds us of the importance of funding and supporting basic research. Without years of fundamental work on mRNA, on cancer biology, on immune checkpoints, this moment would never have arrived. Cancer has long been humanity's greatest medical challenge. But today, we may be closer than ever to turning the tide. The road ahead will be long, and not every step will succeed. But each experiment, each trial, each new insight brings us closer to a future where cancer is treatable, preventable, and maybe even curable through vaccines. Thank you for watching and for joining me in exploring this groundbreaking research. If you found this story as inspiring as I did, please take a moment to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe for more deep dives into the future of medicine. Together, let's keep asking the big questions, because sometimes the answers can change the world.